live, everybody. Here we are. We are in the house. This is the SKITS Fun House. But I got to tell you, man, I am excited. I am hyped. I am psyched. We got all types of stuff going on. We are in quarantine. It is like day 30, 40 million. I don't even know. I mean, we are on lockdown. Who knows what state you're in, what you're going through. All I know is we got the power. We got the juice. We're bringing Mountain Dew and titty milk. I mean, we got it all going on right here, right now. And let me introduce my distinguished guest today, Mr. Dan Fraga. Welcome to the SKITS Fun House. Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm so ready to have fun. Hail Comicsgate and FRAGA Boom.
Boom, man. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, like I said, I was going to get loud. I'm going to get into it. I'm just going to be excited for you. So
I'm excited too, man. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, this is just a wonderful day. I mean, this is fantastic for us being such a little channel as we are. I mean, it's fantastic that you would spend an hour of your day to take it out and to sit it right here with us.
At least. Sometimes I go long, man. I go long.
If the bacon's sizzling, you might as well bring it, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
So you're here in the pink bunny suit. I mean, you're over 100K on your campaign. Yes. I mean, it's been what, just a week or so?
Oh, it's been 2 weeks and 2 days, or 2 weeks and 3 days. Yeah. We started on May 25th, and we're April 25th, and today's May 12th. So we are a little over the halfway mark. But man, yeah, I mean, it's done double what I had prayed for before I hit that launch button. It's done more than double of that already. So it's all huge blessing, and it's going to pave the road for the rest of the stuff coming out from Incredible Comics in the next couple years. So I'm excited.
Well, that's awesome, man. That's all I got to say. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, it is just awesome. Okay, so we got some people in the chat that I want to just say hello to. Obviously, we got a few more people here than usual because we brought in such a special guest. So let's go ahead.
Clearly, I'm special.
Very special. I mean, all I need is a propeller hat. I mean, I
was just chatting with Anthony on the phone like a minute before I got on here. I said, "Yo, man, I got to suit up," and he thought it was funny because like usually I don't suit up to go on, but now I got to suit up.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, shoot, man, we got Anthony, we got Shadowhawk, Leg Kick.
Hail Shadowhawk, hail Leg Kick. Love these guys.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is just great, man. Just to see all these people over here supporting your man right here. I mean, you got Michael Green. I mean, he's always there to pimp you and to say hey and to support you and get your back. I mean,
you're a good man.
You know, see here we got Burst Films Productions in here.
What up, Verse?
There we go. We got Black Star. She's going to be dropping all of our links for us.
Black Star, thank you for sharing that. Very, very kind of you. Thank you.
Just so you know, Black Star, that's my wife.
Oh, well, lucky man. She got that Deadpool, oh yeah, Kool-Aid man going on through. That's a cool
thing.
That's you got a cool wife, man, helping run things.
Oh, I know. I mean, just between you, me, and everyone out there watching and listening right now, she actually reads more comic books than me. She plays more video games than me. She watches more TV than me. She watches cartoons more than me.
So you married up.
Exactly. I mean, if you're going to get married, you might as well marry up. So
let her lead the way. Oh, I see Paul Acevedo in the chat. I was just talking to him on Facebook. He's the one I said I got to make sure I get the name of the show right. You know.
Well, hey, as long as people show up, that's all that really counts. You know.
Heck man. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be on your show. I remember the first time I had you on my show, and you talked a bit about your comic coming up. I thought, man, that's so cool. I liked you. I like your idea. I think it's great.
Man, I tell you what, man, I appreciate that. But before we get into actually getting into the depths of what we try and do right here, let's go ahead and pimp you a little bit. I mean, that's really what we need.
Number went up. Number went up. Yesterday, it was weird. We went to 105, and then we went down because people needed refunds. I don't know if, they're like, I don't like Black Flag anymore. Or maybe they went, oh, shit, baby needs shoes. Something happened. But we went back down to 104 and change. and now we're back up. So it's good to see us back up again. I like it.
Well, it's up, it's down. People have all different reasons for doing things. Here's the big thing you might not know, though. They might have dropped a lower tier and might be thinking about a bigger tier.
Yeah, it's true, man.
You know?
Like I said when we were off air, this is my first official campaign. You know, I was part of a campaign with Dynamic Forces and Dynamite Comics with the Red Sonja comic. But this one, you know, I know how it all works under the hood and all that. So it's a learning process. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we're going to be learning really, really quick here. Obviously, Black Star, she's taking care of all that behind the scenes stuff. You know, she's getting in there, building the campaign, putting the tiers together. Luckily, I have someone to sit around and actually do that for me while I'm over at the table drawing and doing videos.
That's awesome.
Paintings,
man, my wife and I are pretty good partners. It always has an ebb and flow right now because we have 4 kids and our youngest had just turned 1 in February. And my wife also has her own business. So I keep trying to get her to come on the streams and like hang out and, you know, be part of it. And she wants to. It's just, it gets crazy. You're a lucky dude, man. Like that's the dream. That's the dream. Family biz, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been working home. I've been working for myself for probably about 6 years or something like that. So, you know, I'm kind of used to this game now of always being home and working for yourself. But I mean, having her here has been a godsend. I mean, she works in the movie industry. So, you know, she's an actress, a director. She has her own production company. So
cool, man.
I know. So she's the one who's got me here doing this, because if it was me, you know, Michael just on the block, just drawing, I'd be, I mean, no one wants to see that, you know? So she's really kind of coached me and given me a lot of blessings and pumped me up to kind of get me in front of the camera.
I love hearing that, man. That's great.
Yeah, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing this right now. I don't know if I'd have it in me, you know? So.
Yeah. Thank God for our women, man. And you know, it's like Mother's Day just happening. Makes you really appreciate. What up, Vanessa L? Speaking of lovely women. What up, Vanessa?
So, okay, give people out. I'm sure everyone is already knows all about your book, but just in case there's 1 or 2 people out there that don't know.
Man, I love talking about Black Flag. You know, I keep people telling me to shut up about it. So you start me up. All right,
go for it.
Black Flag is a concept I created way back in when I was a kid in high school. You know, some of the characters were introduced in the book itself. Sniper was always kind of a guy that I had because I was a big G.I. Joe fan. But back in 93, 94, I did this creator-owned book over at Extreme Studios, and we ended up putting out a total of 5 issues, issues 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which people can get if they go to the campaign and scroll all the way down. You'll see I'm giving away all of the original series, all 5 issues for free. So it's right under the art, right after the book description. You can get that. You can get Gear Station. But anyway, the issue 4 ended on a cliffhanger, and it ended on a cliffhanger back in 1995. If you keep going down that. The links are, you just got to go, man. I made a long thing, right? Whoa, there they are. See, there's the links.
Boom.
So the original 1995 Black Flag series in a PDF. You guys can get it free if you go to the campaign. Thank you, mods, and thank you, Black Star, for popping the link in there. So you can get that for free, but I ended on a cliffhanger in issue 4 that I never fully realized. The book, I got moved on to a book called Berserkers and some other things, and I never had the chance to get back into these characters and resolve that storyline. Black Flag Pineapple Perception is a way to bunny suit raffle. Interesting. This book is self-contained. You don't need to know any of that stuff from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because I have a writing style, and I'm working with my co-writer in a way like the old Stan Lee books where, you know, you can jump in anywhere and kind of get the gist of the universe and who the cast is and what's what. So we're doing that in this book, but these guys find themselves fighting against this creature that's coming from the depths of Dagger City, and they don't know really the source of it. So the book opens on the news talking about this sinkhole, and you know, Black Flag had warned them that it's more than that, and we cut down to the melee where this creature is coming up and just ripping the military apart. We get into a little bit more as to the why of it. I don't want to give up too much because imagine if I was M. Night Shyamalan and I was promoting The Sixth Sense, and I go, okay, so and if anybody hasn't seen Sixth Sense yet, plug your ears. But if he was like, all right, so like Bruce Willis is dead, right? Okay, and like if I started my pitch like that, I can't do it. So there's a lot of stuff in this issue 1 of this series that is gonna break people's heads, and I'm really excited about it. But ultimately, right now, you're seeing that they're fighting something that looks like it's coming from the mouth of hell.
Well, I mean, how cool is that to be able to take a book from all the way back in '95 and say, boom, I know it ended kind of weird and on a cliffhanger. Here you go, man. We're starting up right from where we started. I mean, how cool is that?
Well, I'll tell you, man, it's I'll tell you how cool it is. It's super cool because it's got many levels of cool. Number one, I've missed these characters. I've been aching to draw them. They've been in my imagination telling me like, we want out, you know, like one of those things. Oh yeah, Michael Green knows Black Flag is dead as Dillinger. Yeah, Bubbles. Damn it, Mike, why are you giving up the ghosts, bro? These characters, like I said, I think about them a lot. So that's cool to be able to draw them again. But I'll tell you the part that's even cooler for me, I was talking yesterday to somebody about baby cobras and how they're more deadly than an adult cobra. Yep. And it's because they don't know how to regulate their venom.
Yep.
I feel like when I was younger, I had all of these ideas in my head, and it was just almost like a creative vomit. You know, I was just and like stuff would come out. And now as an adult, I still have all of that inside me, but I actually know how to regulate it. I know how to tell the kind of story I want to tell. I know how to rein in those details from the first 5 issues into this one to be to have a cohesive story that makes sense of all of that stuff. Because when I go back and reread the old ones, I'm like, man, I was 20 years old when I did this. You know, like you know, now I'm on my way to 47, and like it's different. So I think it's really cool. You know, answering your question, it's really cool because I get to do it again, and I get to do it knowing all the things I didn't when I originally did.
Exactly. I mean, that's the huge thing. I mean, I'm in my 40s too, and I'm just sitting here like, if I actually thought about going into comics when I was in high school. I was like, okay, I'm going to go into comics. I was a wild person. I had no idea what I was doing. I was bouncing off the walls. I was all over the dang place. And I probably couldn't have sat there long enough to actually do it, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, I grew up just all over the place. So
I can't imagine you had energy when you were a kid.
Well, yeah, you know, this is just more of a show. I'm like out here, you know, kind of like I said, my wife, she brings it out of me. She's like, you got to bring that energy out of you. I know it's boiling up.
She gives you the Mountain Dew, doesn't she? She hooks you up.
Well, actually, all I drink is tea and water, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't drink soda too much. I mean, every now and then I'll grab some of her Fanta. You know, she likes that orange Fanta.
Yeah.
So every now and then I'll grab a little bit of that, but I gotta tell you, it's like I don't do any of that. I exercise. That's actually something I'd actually like to ask you about. I know that from being, you know, listening to your shows and stuff, you went through a big transformation in the last 5 months, right?
I did, but I'll tell you, I backslid a little bit. In fact, this morning when I got on the scale, I was like, bro, you need to stop. Like it was my daughter's birthday yesterday, and I ate like more McDonald's than I ever should. And ever since the campaign, since the campaign, yeah, I was like taking shots, and I had stopped drinking on the regular, and then also like I had a celebratory handful of Skittles, and it kind of broke the seal, and my no sugar rule got broken, and then like I'm like, oh well, I did it yesterday, and literally I put on of the 60 I lost, I put on 10 back. So now I'm down to only have lost 50. So, but this morning when I got on the scale, it was like, oh yes, dude, now stop right now.
Well, you know what it is, man. The bunny suit is very forgiving. You don't really see what's going on under there, so it can come back really quick, and you won't
it's
even
still
notice.
sexy, man. It's still really sexy. Also, it might also be the pain. Like I had a kidney stone over the last week.
Oh.
Like last Wednesday, I woke up with kidney pain and had to go to the doctor. So I also know like the Percocet, it made me really hungry all the time. So. But
yeah. I feel for you. I've never had one personally, but a good friend of mine, my roommate from college, who I'm still friends with to this day, I watched him go through 3 of them. I mean, the pain of just laying on the floor and just, I mean, I saw him go through it, and I was like, oh dear God, please don't ever let me go through this.
Yeah, you can't, you don't ever want to, because like I've had back pains before. I pulled my back. I go to the chiropractor. Also, arthritic bone spur. I feel like an old man. And then I got a pain in my hip. But usually, like even when my arthritic bone spur would flare up, I could lean this way and stretch it, and lean this way and stretch it, and kind of roll my shoulders and get a bit of relief. Or lower back pain. If you lay down and sort of twist, you can alleviate the back pain. This is the kind of pain that's excruciating, that no matter what position you get in, you can ball up, you can grit your teeth, you can go back and forth, get into a hot bathtub. It doesn't matter. It does not stop. I remember just thinking to myself, oh my God, aren't I supposed to pass out? Like, when am I going to pass out? I need to pass out. I don't want to feel this. Please fucking pass out. Like, I was begging my whatever to pass out, because like it was just incredible.
Yeah.
Thank God for modern medicine.
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, they do some good things for you, but every now and then they might do a little bad thing for you. So it's like you gotta trust in them no matter what, because at the end of the day, they know more than you do.
That's
so
true.
Just get in there and do what you can, man. Especially when you got that back pain.
Yeah.
Last year, about a year and a few months ago, I had my first back pain of my life. I was setting posts here on the farm. I was putting up some fencing, and oh my Lord, my back, I thought I broke my back. I didn't know what I'd done. I was like, I had to keep my arm up over my head, because it was just like, that was the only thing making the pain go away back there.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor. The doctor was like, oh, you'll be fine. Take these steroids and these pain pills and you'll be okay. And I took them for a week. I just laid around, and it didn't do nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, I mean, I just had to get back to living, so I was working on the farm, and I noticed when I was working on the farm, setting posts, the pain would go away. So I went to a personal trainer, and I told him what I was going through. He was like, I can have you fixed in 5 days.
Whoa.
I know. I was like, sign me up. I'll do it. He's like, man, you got to come in for an hour every day for 2 weeks straight. You'll be fine. And he did. I mean, he fixed it, and I haven't had any problems with it ever since. So it's like, there are people out there that know what they're doing. You just got to find the right person to help you out, man.
Yeah, my chiropractor, who I haven't been able to see now since early March, but he has this thing that he does where he extends my neck and pulls it out. But I got one of those things that you can pump up. It's like a neck brace that kind of does the same thing.
Yeah.
But it took a lot. I mean, it took a lot of time and money to find out what the problem was. Because I remember, you ever wake up where you get like a crick in your back?
Oh yeah.
And it's usually like 24 hours, it's gone. It's just like whatever. Well, I had one of those, and it was intense, and it didn't go away, didn't go away, didn't go away, didn't go away. It got really bad to where like certain range of movements, my arm would go numb, and like my fingertips would be tingly.
Yeah.
And I went to a chiropractor. I went to another doctor that gave me the cortisone shots, like, the steroid shots, lidocaine, like all these things. And it wasn't until I had an MRI and something called EKG, where they would like put these electrical things in there, that they found out that it was arthritic bone spurs, like a nerve basically got caught on one of the spurs, and that like they could dislodge it, but like it's going to continue to lodge itself unless I properly stretch. And then the other thing too, which is like why I changed my diet, wasn't even like trying to look good, because I always look good, but no, it's because I found out that like if I even eat one French fry or like have a tiny bit of potato, my back flares up instantly. So potatoes kick it off. Charred meat, like I love meat, like a steak or whatever, but if it has too much char, for some reason the char on the meat will set it off. Pasta sets it off. Certain breads set it off. So like I cut all that shit out.
So let me ask you this. Now, when you actually start going through this at the beginning and you're changing your diet, now, as someone who's actually done this sort of thing before, I can only imagine your productivity. Did you see a huge difference in your productivity?
Well, this sounds like the gripe about my body podcast, but so right around Valentine's Day, like I had lost a bunch of the weight, and I could start wearing clothes I hadn't worn in like 10 years, and it was great. And I felt a lot lighter on my feet, and I was going to the gym, starting to do light lifting and stuff. So I was feeling a lot stronger. Mentally, yeah, my productivity. Oh, thanks, Anthony. My productivity had gone up, but I do a lot of stuff. I'll get to that in a second. Anyhow, my son, who's 6, he only weighs about 55, 60 pounds. I was carrying him, and we were going to go to the comic book store, and he said, "Dang, Dad, you're moving faster. You're a lot stronger now." And I said, "Oh, thanks." And then I said, "You want to see how strong I am?" And I started running with him. Okay. Felt fine, whatever. Woke up the next morning feeling like I had pulled my groin. And it didn't go away. And anyway, I gave myself inguinal hernia by running with him, because I was too confident in my own, like, that I like went into it like I was 20. But I'm not 20. So, but going back to the productivity aspect, hold on a sec.
Well, we'll let Fraga actually say hey to his kids right there. It looks like he was just needing to. Oh,
no, I need to yell at my kid. He was like screaming over there. So I'm a big I don't know what you call it, fan of, supporter. I just read Mike Green's comment. I'm a big supporter of neuroscience and the use of mushrooms. And I don't mean like psilocybin. I'm a fan of psilocybin too, but I'm talking about cordyceps and lion's mane and Ganoderma. And I've been drinking this Ganoderma coffee now for probably 17 years or so. I also now take lion's mane. I drink this other product called mud water, which has, chai, different kinds of mushrooms, different other things that keep you like sharp. I also actively try to, as much as I can, even though I don't as much as I'd like, is to meditate, which just kind of quiets my brains down and it makes it my thoughts a little more organized. But yeah, I did. I mean, I did notice an increase of productivity. I guess that's the long story of it, but yeah.
So yeah, that type of stuff is always really interesting to me, because myself, I actually went into a time here where I was like, I'm not going to eat any processed foods anymore. I'm going to eat plants and animals, and that's it. And when I started doing that, I was hungry all the time, but I was losing weight,
Yeah.
and I was feeling good. I had a ton of energy, you know. And the other day, for some stupid reason, I bought some mac and cheese, a box of mac and cheese, and because I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, man, that
Yeah.
looks really good. That mac and cheese, that gold runny, just in your mouth. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want it. So
Yeah.
I got it. I made the whole box. I just sat down and ate the whole box myself.
So
And
easy to do.
oh man, it melted. It just went right down my throat. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, it was so
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
I fell asleep immediately. As soon as I
Mm.
got done eating it, I was passed out. I was for like
Yeah.
2 hours. My wife's sitting there watching a movie and I'm sleeping through it. I'm like waking up, what's going on? You know? And
Oh
it's like
man.
it kills you. I mean, you have no idea what this stuff does to you until you actually cut it out of your life, you know. So
Oh man. No, it's funny because I've noticed that the opposite effect of being more productive has kicked in. Like, you know, the drinking whiskey and the having candy and like eating after 9, because I'm an intermittent faster.
mhm.
Uh, I uh, I don't take any sugar except for like the really like 90% dark chocolate because it's supposed to be good for your brain.
Yeah.
The only sort of like even fruit sugar that I have is from blueberries, you
Mm,
know? So
yep.
it's like that's how I usually live. But these last, I don't know, 20 days or so, I'd been like, yeah, okay. My wife made Rice Krispie treats and I was like, I'll eat the sheet of that shit, man. Like I'll make myself a pillow out of it and eat my way through it. Uh,
Literally last night, my wife was like, "I think we need to make some Rice Krispie treats. Do you like
do
Rice
it.
Krispies treats?" I was like, "Oh, of course. Hello, do bear shit in the woods? Of course I do, man." It's like, come on, man. Everyone likes that. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Oh, don't do it. You'll eat the whole thing," you know.
My wife is hilarious because um, there's these two jokes that she has, but well, it's one joke, but it's basically the same joke. You go, hey man, would you eat 6 string cheeses, you know, 2 pieces of bread and a cup of tomato sauce? And you're like, no. And she's like, but do you want some fried cheese sticks? I'm like, hell yeah, I'll eat them all. You know, but then last night, because like last night, I was working my way through that sheet of Rice Krispie treats. And she started laughing. She goes, hey, would you eat 6 cups of Rice Krispies and 4 cups of marshmallows and a cube of butter? I'm like, no. She's like, but you eat that sheet of Rice Krispie treats. I'm like, hell yeah. It's
Well,
the same shit.
well, let me ask you this: have you ever had a fried stick of butter?
Yes, I have
Oh,
at the county fair.
I
Like,
know, isn't it
yeah,
wonderful?
dude, I go crazy at the fair. I eat
I know.
everything. I'll eat all of
Oh,
it. Snails,
um,
frogs, I don't care.
now, see, I have problems with getting sick. I have motion sickness really
Mm,
bad,
bummer.
but I
Get one
know.
of those
So
bracelets, dude.
it
Have you
does.
seen?
It
It
does
doesn't work.
nothing works. Nothing
Diazepam,
works.
nothing.
Nothing. Nothing.
Damn, that's
You know,
close your eyes.
that's just as bad. Maybe even
Oof,
worse sometimes.
fuck,
So
that
so
sucks.
basically, like I go to the county fair and I'm like, I can ride a roller coaster. I can do like the slides and stuff like that, but I can't do any of the rides because they just go in circles.
Yeah.
So like my last time actually at a fair riding rides and eating the good snacks
Yeah.
was like when I was 14. I ate
No.
a whole thing of curly fries, you know, with cheese on it and everything.
Give
And
them up.
then I got on the swings, you know, where I was just spinning on them swings, and
Oh my God.
I was just like, "Oh no, this ain't good." I threw up, and it just went out into the crowd. It just
Sprinkler.
it just dispersed out into the crowd. I felt so bad. I got off. It was all over my feet and everything, and it just went out in
Yeah.
the crowd. And that was the last time I ever got on a ride at the fair. It was terrible. It was the worst
uh,
thing ever, man.
I can imagine what the aerial looked like. Just a big circle spray.
It was. It just like, and then another one came. I was like, oh
Nasty.
God. I mean, it was terrible. I felt so bad. But hey, I mean, those are the things that you go through when you're a kid. You get to that
It's
point
true.
where it's like, I can't handle this anymore. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's just one of those bad things. But let's twist this back and let's try and get into some of the stuff that I normally try and talk to people on here. Now,
Fun house.
I know, man. It's like I get artists in here, and
Yeah.
this is when I actually get to talk to them about things. I mean, you're a comic book guy, you're an artist. Now, tell me, what came first for you, comics or art?
I would say it was probably art, and it was a manifestation of not having a lot as a kid. I mean, it sounds funny,
Yeah.
but like I grew up on a chicken farm, like
Yep.
like a small one. It wasn't even a full acre, but we had a lot of chickens and geese and all that, and a lot to do. Not a lot of money. We ate the eggs that the chickens laid. We ate the vegetables that were in the garden, that kind of lifestyle. So third grade, I remember, was probably the first time that somebody said I had a gift. We had to do a report on the little train that could, and we had to draw a picture, and everybody was drawing that same sort of isometric train going over the hill.
Yeah.
But I had, instead of having it profile, I had it going over the hill, disappearing, over the hill, disappearing, like it was going over two hills, because that's what I saw in my head. And my teacher asked me what picture I copied it from, and I said I didn't copy it from a picture. I was the picture in my head. And she said, "You have a real good imagination. You have a gift." I was like, "Oh, great." So I started, like, kids would have like their Empire. This is around that same age. Empire Strikes Back toys,
Mm-hmm.
and I would draw, instead of playing Empire Strikes Back, I would draw little scenarios. But when I finally got into comics, which I was probably about 11,
Mm-hmm.
It was all over. I mean, like, there are distinct images that I recall, like the GI Joe cover with Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes on it. There's a issue of Cloak and Dagger
Oh yeah.
miniseries. There's the Crystar Warriors. There's like this Doctor Strange Crystar Warrior Michael Golden cover.
Oh yeah.
And I started copying those just like nonstop, because I wanted my drawings to look as good as those. So
Yep.
when I made my stories, because I didn't know I was making comics when I did my little scenarios, because they were basically like a mural with like talking and word balloons and action. So you one picture you read from left to right. But comic books, I wanted my drawings to be as good as those. And so I copied a bunch. Then I discovered the work of John Byrne.
Oh yeah.
And he was the first guy where it's like Cloak and Dagger and that Crystar and the Mike Zeck G.I. Joe. I recognized those as drawings that were appealing to me, but I never put the thought together that separate people drew them.
Yeah.
It was just a comic book was a comic book, and the stuff inside, and sometimes they look better than others. And that's all I really assumed at that age. But John Byrne was the first name. I'm like, oh, I wonder who drew this. That's John Byrne. Oh, I wonder who drew that. It reminds me of that guy. Oh, it's John Byrne. Like, he was the first one. So he was like the guy I actively like looked for his work. And then it was in 1986 when I saw the cover of Dark Knight #2, and it was a shot of Batman grizzled up, fat lip, torn costume, knuckles bloody,
Oh, I know.
cool looking pouches.
Yeah.
And
isn't it?
I said to my grandpa, because my grandpa was a fine artist, like painting and stuff. I said, "Grandpa, look at this Batman." He's like, "That's what they call abstract." He was like trying to explain to me. He's like, I go, "I've never seen anything like it," because I saw the Adam West Batman on TV, or the Underoos pajama Batman, and this guy looked like he was built like a tank and got his ass beat, and it was cool. And I wanted to know who FM was, and I found out about Frank Miller, and flipped through that and was like, you can make comics look like this, because everything up until that point still had that, even Mike Zeck, John Byrne, Rick Leonardi, Michael Golden, they still sort of adhered to an aesthetic that was within a bracket. Frank Miller was so off the chart for me. It was this thin line with this painted style with Lynn Varley colors underneath it. And it just made my brain explode. And that's when I made the definite decision that this is what I'm going to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just huge for me. I mean, my background kind of the same. I mean, my family was dirt poor.
Yeah.
I mean, I played with like bark and mud and made buildings on the ground when it was rainy out, you know, and stuff like that. And that was probably the first art I ever did. But then when I got into about 6th grade, a teacher sat me down and said, Michael, you should try this. You need to do this, you know, draw this stuff right here. And I was like, okay, you know, so I did this still life. She's like, oh, you'd be really good at this. You need to do more. And I was like, I don't want to draw still lifes, to be perfectly honest with you. And then she goes, well, what do you want to draw? And I was, at that time, it was funny because like a little bit before then, I had just really, I mean, I knew comic books existed, but I never had money or anything to have any of them. So, but I was able to get like Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original black and whites. You know, this was about 86 or something like that. And I had one, I think is number 2 or 3. And I was just like, well, I like this. This is really cool. She's like, well, draw that, you know, if that's what you like. So that really is what kind of set me in motion to kind of get me going. But from there, you know, I ended up, so this actually brings me to my next question. So you had that, you went, I'm guessing in school, you had to have some art classes. Did you have any sort of art classes, junior high, high school, something that got you interested in drawing the human form or really got you hyped for that sort of thing?
I had really bad experiences in art class.
Really?
I mean, both good and bad. See, I had the benefit of my grandfather. And my grandfather used to teach at the adult school, you know, like a continuation school. Like if you're a housewife that wants to learn life drawing, you go to the, you know, life drawing class at the adult school. Yeah. Well, my grandfather was the teacher of that class, and he taught out of this book called Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. So a lot of times I would sit in on those classes. Sometimes I'd sit and be the model, you know, do that sort of thing. So I automatically had this sort of idea of what was what from my grandfather, and that didn't really mix well with high school art classes and art teachers, because they were there obviously to teach their game plan. And we would do something like for example, I remember one of the examples was like, take off your shoe, draw your shoe. You're doing a line drawing today. You're doing, you know, afterwards you do inventive shading, you know, but you have to look at your shoe, take it off, look at your shoe. Today, that's what we're doing. Tomorrow, you're going to shade it. The next day, you're going to, you know, put highlights and whatever. So it should have taken a few sessions.
Yeah. Get your charcoal vine out there.
Right. Yeah. And the blender and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very procedural. And I remember distinctly taking off my shoe, drawing it, rendering it, finishing it, kind of sitting there going, well, I guess I'm going to start drawing other shit. And I started drawing like the Hulk pulling on the lace, and like Spiderman climbing up out of the thing, and like, you know, someone sliding down the tongue of the thing. And she came by, you know, and she's like, I don't see superheroes crawling out of your shoe. What are you doing? And I said, well, I finished. She's like, you shouldn't be finished. You should be doing your line drawing. I said, yeah, I was done with the line drawing in the first like 5 minutes. And she said, that's not following directions. And I said, I thought this was an art class, not a following directions class. And that really got her pissed off. And the thing that sucked about high school is like every art year 1, art year 2, 3, 4, and advanced art are all taught by the same teacher. And they put me in advanced art in my freshman year with all the seniors. And I just was I guess I was a little asshole, but I mean, I was a little asshole. I didn't think I knew better than her. I just didn't like I didn't like outside ideas being imposed on something that already felt like it worked for me. Something my grandfather had taught me, that like she was showing me stuff that like I was beyond, you know, and I wasn't a dick about it, but I was a dick when I don't know. Anyway, I got straight A's. I got straight A's through not my first 2 years of high school, but my junior and senior year. I had straight A's in every class except for art, which I got an F every quarter for 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
And not because I wasn't making good stuff. And the weird thing too is she's a silk screen teacher, like taught silk screening. That was a whole nother, like an elective. I got an A in silk screening. She was my same teacher, but I felt like I didn't know shit about silk screening, so I paid attention.
Yeah.
I got an A in that class. So it really boiled down to like, you know, following direction class. But a lot of what I've learned is from books. A lot of books.
Yeah.
You know, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Yep.
I got a whole stack of those right here.
Oh
See?
yeah. Can't go wrong with them, man.
Yeah, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. George Bridgman's Complete Guide to Drawing from Life.
Yep.
Preston Blair's Advanced Animation.
Yep.
Like those are all.
I got that right there on the shelf, man. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. I mean, you know, for me, when I was, you know, first doing a thing, I mean, I actually, it sounds like I got a little more lucky than you. Like I had a junior high teacher who was ex-football player, and he just loved cool stuff.
That's cool.
I know. And so, but he actually liked traditional style stuff, and he taught you to explore all sorts of stuff. But we had a good basis. Every class started with like 5-second gesturals, you know, 30-second gestures. You know, we had the model, you know, we do that, and then we'd roll into what you like to do. You know, he would get you warmed up and you would learn the traditional stuff, and then you'd roll into a project that you personally wanted to work on.
That's a good teacher, man.
Exactly. It was huge. And then when I got to high school, I had even a better teacher. So I have this classics background, you know. So for me, I had nothing really going on at home when it came to that sort of thing. So it was great that I had that. But it sounds like for you, you actually had it at home, which is huge. I mean, I can't imagine having like art and training and having someone interested in that sort of thing at home with you. I mean, that right there just kind of blows my mind. I knew people like that, but
my grandfather was a real godsend, and then the other guy, Fred Jackson, my friend Fred Jackson, he was still is mentor, kind of schooled me up on comics. Like comics history, like legit comics history, like pre-Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, you know, Ditko, like he's the one that got me up on that stuff, taught me, you know, the middle ground guys like Starlin and you know, Conway and guys like that who I had no idea about. So I had really great mentors, you know.
Well, I just got to tell you, okay, so something just came over the wire. It's coming in hot. We got, I mean, look at this. We got someone coming in here. Boom! It's Black Star coming in.
What's happening?
What's up? Fraga boom, Fraga boom. Bunny suit on. Came in the room, so you know what's going on. Skits coming soon.
Yeah.
Bring in the boom, sweet tea, drinking. Get back in that Zoom. Southern fried. Don't cry, don't shoot. Bye. Get those comments. Get that 150K. Bye. Oh, Black Flag.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Put the hands in the air and we praise like Buddhists. Yeah. The mic that you give me, I pray to God that we get to 150. Yeah, we're kicking it live. We're going to make an issue. It's called 0.5. 0.5 not all the way to 1, but we're going to do it because we're going to cross the finish line. And we won. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that my time. Hey, I got to go.
What? Boo! What's going on? So I told Skits, I was like, hey, I'm gonna come in hot with my like Fraga Boomalicious
I
rap
love it.
battles, ready to go. Because that's what you do. Like, I'm a kid of the 80s. And back in the day, you had to have your boombox, you had to have your cassette players, you had to play it ready to go for those music executives. You know what I'm saying?
I do
You
know
kept
what
me
you're
waiting.
saying.
You done keep me waiting now.
You know what? You know what's sad is I did a demo. It's on my campaign at the very bottom. It's a 5-song demo that I did in early '94.
Nice.
And the A&R, almost every A&R person said, "Man, you got the skills, but your content is too nice." Because I was rapping about growing up on the farm, I was rapping about falling in love, all these things. But at the time, they, you had in early '94, all of the stuff coming out of Death Row was where it was at, and not a single mention of a car, not a single mention of a gun. I think I mentioned weed a couple times because I love weed, but but they said I needed to change my content, my subject matter if I wanted a deal, and I said I'm not doing that because I don't. I'm not rapping about what I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, see, that's the big thing, and that's something that I always have problems with myself. It's like if I'm going to write something, I got to write about what I know, and what I know is some kind of crazy stuff going on in all my dreams and stuff like that. So that's what I want to write about. It's like for me, it feels right and natural to write about those things. And just for you, I mean, how are you going to change up what you know? You can't change up what you know. You know what you know.
You can, because there's the whole old dog new tricks thing. I say there's different ways. Number one, there's empathy, consideration for other people, and like how their eyes see things. So that's a big one. Also, be aware that your mind can be changed, and I have a perfect story about that, and it's because I'm a stubborn asshole, right? So back, I'd say 10 years ago, my drinking was limited to wine, beer, and vodka with cranberry juice in it. And my brother Andy, younger brother, he's 10 years younger than me. I was visiting my family, and he said, "Hey man, you want to have a whiskey with me?" I said, "Man, I don't like whiskey." He says, "How do you know?" And I said, "Because I've had it and I don't like it. I don't like it." That's what I said. Yeah, it's like, stop. And he's like, "You're being closed-minded." I said, "I tried it. How's that closed-minded?" He said, "You haven't tried all whiskey. All whiskey isn't just whiskey. What have you had?" And of course, now I know, because I know what good whiskey is. But I'm like, Canadian Mist and Dewar's, and those are like, you could clean your car with those. I didn't know. And he's like, listen, just try this. And he gave me a single barrel Kentucky bourbon, and I took a sip, and I was like, yo. So then I went on a whiskey adventure where I bought, rye and, every kind of whiskey I could find, just so I could find the ones I like. But, for what was that, 10 years ago, for 36 years of my life, well, since I knew what whiskey was, I was not a whiskey drinker. Now it's a very hard process to not be drinking that whiskey.
Well, around in these parts, all we got is moonshine. So
I love moonshine.
And you can clean anything with that stuff. So
yeah.
Now,
what's going on? I heard you boys talking about throw up, back pains. Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, all right.
Are you in pain too?
Oh no, I'm
lucky.
Black don't crack. If it starts to crack, that's when you got to get back, because
What did Chris Rock say? When things go wrong, put some tussin on it.
Put some tussin on it.
Just throw the tussin on it. Yeah.
No, awesome. Thank you so much for coming to the Fun House. I would love to have you on. Come get some. Or you throw your bows to come get some.
Just hit me up. The way to find me is either DM me on Twitter or have Michael send me away so I can get a hold of you. I'd love to hang out.
I mean, I'm following you, but you ain't following me, so I've got them.
I need to find you, man. Hold on. I'm doing it right now. No,
it's live.
I'm
It's
doing it right now.
live.
Just give me your Twitter handle so I can do it.
Exclusives. You better watch out because Fraga Boom is gonna go. Oh, he's giving me clout. That's right. Fraga Boom.
You give yourself clout, man. You did it on your own. Let me find you though. Okay, is it the same as your?
Yes, at Kershina J.
CAR. I'm nearsighted, so I'm gonna look like I call this my Squintin Tarantino. CARS.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
I'm literally the only Kershina in the world. Like literally.
No, there's one that's called underneath yours, called Paintbox, and her name is Karshina too. But I got you. I got you right here.
Kershina
Boom.
J.
Followed right there. Right there. We're
back. Right here, y'all. On exclusive. One of the things I remember we did a box opening when you were doing He-Man for Masters of the Universe, and I was like, Fraga, he was like, that's right. And I did that box opening, we went to the LCS and I saw it, we grabbed it, and I was like, look at here. This is what I'm talking about. And ever since then, I was like, come on, we gotta have you. We gotta have you on the show.
I love the 90s style comics, you know, like I spent 12 years drawing comics that way. I went away to work on storyboards and directing. And then I came back to comics and I'm looking at all these comics, and not all of them, but a lot of them look like they're trying to make movies on paper.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, no, man, comics are a beautiful thing. Like, don't change what makes comics comics.
Comics are up here. Movies are down here, man.
They're storytelling, man. I'll take them both.
No,
that's like a beer and a whiskey, you know. Like I'll go for both.
No, he better watch himself, because this actress and director, he better watch himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's fine, baby. You got some more questions for the boom?
I did, because I'm wearing my Donkey Kong. So my Donkey Kong to the bunny suit to the oink oink. I feel like we're like in the Farmers in the Dale. The Farmers in the Dale.
How dare you, the Farmers in the
Now, I tell you what, I don't sing. I'll dance around with it, because if I was to sing, I'd shut the whole system down. YouTube would shut down. So
too sexy.
No, just I'd break it. I'd break it.
One of the questions I wanted to ask about for Black Flag is for the whole mashup. What did you envision with cover? Just like a full on like boom, 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 like everything on it. So just having like that sexy 1 or that sexy 2 or that little team up. Like this was just like everything. What was going on in your mind with that?
A couple of things. Number one, I like iconography. You know, I'm a big fan of images that look different. You know, some people exploit other people's iconography. Like you'll see homages to like classic Jim Lee covers. Like how many times have we seen Wolverine, Captain America, Black Widow from 268 with other characters standing in, or the classic, you know, Wolverine with Hulk. So many people bite that, or the stand and sexy cover. So I wanted to play with iconography that was a little different. So I was thinking about the idea. See, there's the Spiderman right there. Spiderman #1. I wanted to play with the giant size X-Men, where the X-Men were bursting through, but I wanted to do it on a cover that was probably the most popular cover of Black Flag, which was the preview edition that McFarlane had inked over me. And then lastly, I'm a big detail fan. I love McFarlane, Adams, Golden, Jeff Darrow. Like I'm crazy about detail. And the reason I am crazy about detail, and I used to have arguments with my old inkers, they would say, nobody looks at panels longer than a second, dude. And I'm like, yo, man, do you know how many hours I've stared at Doctor Strange 55 alone? Like, just like hovering over one panel, looking at every detail. Like, I want people to do that with my work. I don't want them to just go, oh yeah, cool. Like, that's great. Like, read the book, go through like that. But I also want you to go back and be like, oh. You know, I want money's worth. I want to put money's worth in every
Exactly.
piece.
There's a reason why they have that saying, the devil's in the details, because you got to look at every little thing, because if you notice something, I'm going to notice something. It's not just like a quick, like, oh, let me just flip through. It's like, no, you put in that work. You want to make sure that everyone sees like the little hat, the beret, the gun, the muzzle, all that stuff, just to make sure that everyone's like, oh, that's dope. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna let Skits back. Well, I'm sorry. Go back.
I was gonna say, no, you direct and act as well.
I do. I do a lot of horror films. But you can IMDb me. We now friends. Friends. You can IMDb me.
We'll IMDb each other. It sounds so weird. It sounds so weird.
That's like our calling card. Drop that IMDb.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're following each other now on Twitter. So
sweet. Well, I'm gonna get you back to Michael in the Fun House.
Fun House. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Bunny Rabbit. Bye.
Bye. She's awesome.
Yep, there she is. That's old Black Star. That's my other half, my better half, as it were.
Dude, you married up for real.
Like, I know. Definitely.
As a beautiful, smart, outstanding lady.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's always like keeping me on things. Like me, I'll be sitting here working. I'm into dealing with all these things, and she's like, "Hey, what about this? You need." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Don't you remember? Like an hour ago, I told you had to." I'm like, "No, I don't remember. I have no idea."
We need them.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I don't know. So one of the other things I was wanting to get to is art process with you. And I know some of this stuff is kind of silly and whatnot, but even today, I know that you do a lot of your drawings, your initial stuff on the computer, on the tablet there. And, do you use any reference? That's something that is always a big thing for me, because coming from a classical background and not having anything when I was a kid, I mean, I didn't use reference. Everything, I thought I had to draw everything out of my head. That's all I thought. It's like, because back in the Renaissance period, they didn't have anything except for maybe a model in front of them. So they always had to like draw out of their head. They had to memorize everything. So that's what I did when I was a kid. I memorized everything, how to do the hands, the arms, the face, trees, house. I mean, everything you can think of. That's what, I use. But then when I went to college, I found out that everyone just used a lot of photo reference and guides and stuff like that. And it changed the way I saw things. So how is it for you?
I do. I learned this process. Like I used to, back in the day, I used to have like 100 comics open in front of me to like understand vibes and styles and things like that. But that's a good way to not ever tell the truth of your own style. What I tend to do now, and it's something that I learned from Kim Jong-gi, is Kim Jong-gi, I asked him about like his daily routine, and he said one of the things he would do is he would go on the internet and look at pictures of things that weren't in his repertoire. And he wouldn't even draw them. He would just like let's say it was dilapidated buildings. He would spend a half hour, type in the word dilapidated buildings and just go through pictures and look and sort of absorb like Johnny Five Alive, like pull in the textures, compositions, how everything works, and then kind of gather them as tool set, and then when you go and this is how I almost feel like this sort of thing is verifiable. When you go and you do your execution of those things without directly looking at them, you give your impression of it. That's where truth ends up happening. It's artistic proof. And one of the places I saw this was in an interview with Todd McFarlane in it was called Comics Interview. The interviewer was asking him, I think it was Jim Salicrup who was interviewing him, had asked him, where did you come up with the way you draw Spider-Man anyway? and he said a couple things. You know, number one, he wanted to put the emphasis on the word spider instead of man. You know, big on spider, little on man. But he said he was also thinking about Ditko, So he'd obviously seen Ditko before, but he said he was thinking about Ditko, not looking at Ditko. And his recollection of Ditko Spider-Man was larger, more expressive eyes, more webbing on the costume, more black in the blue parts of the costume, in the under the little wingy things underneath the armpits.
Yeah.
And that's how he decided he wanted to do his Spider-Man. So his Spider-Man was his perception and recollection of Ditko without really ever looking at Ditko. And that's how we got Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, you know, and like what a definitive Spider-Man that is, but that was born out of a feeling. So that's my process nowadays. I don't like in the development stage, I might look at reference just to like, again, fill up the tank, so to speak. But when it comes to go time, no, I just go.
Yeah, same thing here. You know, I do all of my stuff, you know, my thumbnails and sketching and stuff like that. Nowadays, I just do it on the computer because it's all about like compressing and blowing up and cutting and pasting and just really trying to, your mind is working really fast when you're doing those types of things. And you need to work in a method that's really fast. You know, when I was a kid doing thumbnails on paper and stuff like that, it would be like, okay, then I'd go and do another one. Then I'd do, well, nowadays you can keep working on that one and move it all around and do all sorts of stuff, you know? So I just love that process. And even as a fine artist, you know, putting down a mark, just leaving it there, hitting it and going on, hitting it and going on. That's something you can't do when you're kind of rolling with just pencils on paper sometimes. It's like you put it down there, but then you put down something next to it and it doesn't fit together. So it's like, oh man, now I got to erase one or the other or something like that, or just move on and do a whole nother one. So
I do a little bit of, I have this process called free flow drawing system where I can draw without doing any layouts.
Yeah.
And what it is it's a way of working things out in your head in a concise way before you ever put it down. So it gives you an opportunity to have a lot less of those marks that you have to erase. You know, you think about it and you run the simulation, so to speak, in your mind's eye before you even commit to it. And if it works there and you can commit to it, you work a lot faster.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying, because a lot of times, you know, we're talking about reference. It's like sometimes before I get started drawing, I'll look at a bunch of reference, just like you were saying with Kim Jong-il. And it's like you get it in your head, you get a mental picture, you get that idea. And then sometimes I'll just kind of sit there and, you know, I'll do some exercises, I'll relax, I'll try and get focused. And I'm just kind of looking, and then it's like, go, you know, and those are usually some of the best stuff you can do, you know. Sometimes I'll be going for an hour or two, and then I'll realize I'm moving really fast. I'm listening to something, you know, because the music's really starting to get into me. So
what music?
Like, I do a lot of industrial and goth type stuff. Sometimes I'm listening to hip hop, you know, like you know, maybe Beastie Boys, maybe some LP. You know, I really like LP.
Who's LP? I don't know LP.
LP, he's actually, the way I found out about him is he opened for 9 Inch Nails some years back, and
I like Trent Reznor.
Yeah, you know, and so, but I actually like LP more than I like Trent Reznor now, you know. So
you're gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, he's really, it's just EL-P. And he's out in New York. He's one of those guys that puts out like instrumental jazz albums or instrumental hip hop albums, but then he'll do some rap stuff, you know, like he did some stuff with Killer Mike.
I know Killer Mike. He's from Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, he put out an album called Run the Jewels with
I know
Killer
Run
Mike.
the Jewels. I know Run the Jewels.
Yeah, that's LP and Killer Mike right there.
Yeah, okay. I know Run the Jewels. I just didn't know that, like, I didn't separate them. I I never watched the music videos. I just like the way the stuff sounds. I'm following him now on Spotify. Thank you for that.
Yeah, LP is awesome. I love his instrumental stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah, here it is. Run the Jewels instrumental. So Sleep When You're Dead. Shit, man. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm always loving and finding new music, you know. I mean, like music is really the key for a lot of stuff. I've been getting into instrumental stuff more as I get older, like scores and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, stuff that builds a backdrop for you to do your thing instead of being a part of someone else's thing. You got a backdrop to do your thing. You know?
Yeah, the only time I ever like get into the words of things is like when I'm working out, you know?
Yeah.
Like listen to LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. You know, you know, you get crazy.
All-time classic right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that can always get you up. I mean, some of the stuff that came out in the late 80s and 90s rap-wise, I mean, to this day, I mean, it just gets
it's a golden era, dude. I mean, 86 to 94 was just really good. Especially like my favorite is still Rakim.
Oh yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong with him? I mean, he was like the master back then. I mean,
he's still the GOAT.
I mean,
God MC.
I mean, he's all that. We got Black Star here. Here we go.
Depeche Mode's good. Gahan's cool. He's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I usually like.
You got some more questions? I got them, man. Let's do it.
You know, I just wanted to look at your artwork here. You know, show people a little something. This is just an introduction of what we do. I mean, you saw Black Star. She's got more energy than I could ever possibly deal with. You know, she just drops it in there.
This is wonderful, man.
Yeah, she's awesome, man.
Lucky man.
Yeah, I'm super lucky. You know, we're both from the South. We're both from the dirty, northern Florida, southern Georgia, that whole area right there, you know. But we met out in California in Hollywood, you know.
Oh, trip. Yeah. That's a trip, man.
Yeah, she was out there working. She was out there for 15, 16 years or something like that. And I'd just been laid off from McFarlane. You know, I'd worked for him for a few years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and what happened is like the economy went bad in 2009, you know.
Yeah.
And he had to lay off a bunch of people there. Like my entire department got laid off. I was doing packaging and concept stuff. And it was just like, so I was like, well, I've never been to California. I was living in Phoenix at the time, you know, where the office is.
Hey, bud. Hey, Michael, how's it going today, bud?
I know, man. I mean, he's so awesome, man. I mean, he's just the man, you know. And it was great being able to have that opportunity to be around him for several years. And you know, he was literally just right across the hall from me.
He's my favorite, man.
You know, he'd come in, he'd walk in every day, he'd put his flip flops there, he'd stash his flip flops at the front door, and then just head on out, you know. And you know, one time I was in the kitchen area and I walk in. He's like, hey, bud, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm working, Todd. He's like, good answer. I'm at work, you know. Yeah. But he was like eating. I've told people this before. He was eating a can of tuna.
Out of the can.
Out of the can. And I'm looking out. I'm like, Todd, man, you're killing me. Can you just put some mayonnaise on it, a little salt and pepper, celery?
That's how I do it too, dude.
I know. I'd never seen that before. He was like, oh no, it gives you everything that you need. Everything's great, you know, right here. And I was like, Todd, I'm about to go down the street. I'm going to get me an In-N-Out burger with some fries. Now that gives me everything I need. Do you want me to pick one up for you? Because I'm feeling bad for you. He's like, oh, no, can of tuna. And the funny thing is, the next day when I saw him with a can of tuna, he's putting salt and pepper in there. I was like, yeah, I got
you can add flavor to the flavor. Oh my gosh.
I know. Oh, it's so freaking awesome, man. But yeah, it was great being able to work for him. I mean, he was a big influence on me when I was younger. I actually got to go to a Diamond Comics seminar back in '94, and I pretty much met all of the Image crew back then. You know, they were all there pimping their stuff. You know, I'm guessing that's probably right about the time you had probably came on the scene there. You know,
No, 91.
91.
Yeah,
Okay.
I came in. I was hired before Image was announced. And then I was hired in 91, December of 91, and then Image was announced in February of 92. So I was there like right before.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I actually got a chance to meet Rob Liefeld, while I was there at that Diamond Comics seminar. And, I've always, it's interesting to see what people say about people when they don't know them.
Sure.
Now, for me, I always liked Rob Liefeld stuff. I always thought it had a ton of energy. It was awesome. Not everything was drawn perfect, but it didn't matter.
But it's a comic book, man.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be crazy.
The energy was there. It was awesome, man. It was so freaking cool. But the guy, he was so nice. I mean, just so nice. I mean, I was waiting in line. There was a very small line there to meet these guys because it's Diamond Comics seminar.
Right.
So, like, I go up to Rob. He was the first person I met, and I was like, can I get your autograph, And he was like, give me that paper. I had the booklet there. He was like drawing me a picture of Bad Rock and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a drawing from Rob Liefeld. I mean, this is awesome. And so, he's really cool, took pictures with me. Then I moved on, and Jim Lee was the next guy. Jim Lee was like, did Rob do a drawing for you? I was like, yeah. He was like, man, he sucks. Let me do this. So he's like, he's doing one for me and everything like that.
All that one-upsmanship.
I know. I mean, it was awesome. And then like the next guy was Eric Larson. I was like, hey man, these guys are giving me drawings. I want to be an artist someday.
And then he drew you his picture like this.
Well, no, he didn't draw me a picture. I told him I wanted to be a comic book artist, and he was like, well, maybe it's not for you, son.
He did that to you too?
I was like, well, I'm trying my best.
So that's like his MO, is just to tell people not to do it.
Well, at the time I thought he was joking with me, but years later when I heard he says that to him all the time, I just, I didn't know at the time. I was just like, what?
That ain't right.
What, 15, 16 at the time?
That's not right. I mean, I still will give respect to Eric. I think he's like the most dynamic of the 7 guys. His stuff is the most dynamic, but you don't do that. You encourage people. I'll tell you, in 94, I met a young kid, this little local boy in Pittsburgh, showed me his stuff. It's pretty decent. 12 though, you never know what'll happen. And I told him, keep on going. This stuff looks awesome. Keep on going. And that little kid became Ed Piskor.
Oh, man.
That was I met him when he was a little kid, and I gave him words of encouragement. Imagine if I was Eric Larson and was like, nah, man, you don't have what it takes. Like, what would that have done? Maybe hurt him, maybe done what it did to me, but I just don't think it's okay, man.
Yeah. I mean, you always gotta, encourage people to do better. I mean, how can you not encourage people to be something better than what they are today? I mean, me and my wife, we're Christians. We believe that 100% that if you're actually talking to someone and you want to help somebody, the best thing you can do is encourage someone to be better than what they are today.
Absolutely, man. Amen to that.
Yeah. And it's like, that's exactly the type of energy you need to bring to people. It's like, okay, I know you're not there yet, but you can be. You can do anything. This is America. You can do whatever your heart desires you to do. You just got to put forth the effort. If you put forth the effort, I guarantee you'll eventually make it somewhere.
I have a friend. He and you're around you're in my age group, so you might have got this same TV show. Do you remember a TV show called Secret City with where a guy named Commander Mark would teach you how to draw?
I got to tell you, when I was a kid, we didn't have TV too much.
Yeah.
And I never got TV until I was in like high school. So I grew up without TV, so there's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Well, he was on PBS, like he was one of those UHF stations.
Yeah.
But he had Secret City, and he was basically like a Bob Ross for kids, where he would encourage kids how to draw, he kind of sparked me too, like this TV host guy, my grandpa, this guy on TV. Anyway, I had the happenstance of meeting Commander Mark for the first time in 2017 in Las Vegas. And we became friends. And I explained to him, I said, dude, do you know how many people you've inspired? Like, I know so many artists that say they used to watch you on TV. And he's like, oh, no. And so I came up with this analogy. I said, you're an oak tree that's dropping off acorns all the time. And I said, I'm one of your acorns, and like, I'm planting myself, and I'm getting roots, and I'm going to be an oak tree, and I'm going to make acorns, and it'll be thanks to you. But it's my duty to take all the knowledge you've given me and the kindness you've given me and to pass it down. It's literally my duty, because, oak tree, acorns become oak trees make acorns, and just keep that going.
This is something that has been done for centuries. You have the older generation teaching the younger generation.
Amen.
It is in our DNA to do this and to make people better. But because of the way society is today, we don't really see ourselves as those progenitors of information like we used to.
No.
And it's really a shame. But at some point, we all have to take up that mantle and say, okay, I got to pass this on, either through my own kids or through someone else's or through a class or something. But you just got to get out there and pass it on. I'm
trying to go into the empathy aspect of things and try to maybe, like, what if Eric Larson, and I'm not saying this is the case, but what if, because he draws weird. Like, if you see how he holds a pencil, what if when he was a kid, he was made fun of, and drawing is what made him different, or at least felt like gave him superpowers, to overcome the negativity. And what if he was so protective of it that he didn't want anybody else to have it? So, I'm just trying to understand, like, because like I don't get it. Like, personally, I don't get it. But every now and then I try to think, why would someone do that?
The first comic book artist I ever met was in 8th grade. My teacher, Mr. Zablo, if you're out there watching this, I know you follow me and you check these videos out. He's best friends with John Beatty, which, as you know, he inked Mike Zeck and stuff.
Yeah, I've hung out with John Beatty. He's a real nice guy.
Super nice guy.
He's a Florida guy.
Daytona Beach. That's where I was born and raised, was Daytona Beach. So he came into the class, great, Mr. Zablo brought him in and was like, hey, I want you to meet this guy, he's a comic book artist. I want, and he sat down and he talked to me, real nice guy. He did me a drawing of Wolverine, which I still have to this day.
Awesome.
And that was my first experience with a comic book artist. And he is just the sweetest guy ever. I mean, really nice. And, for me, that's what I thought it was all about, was like, hey, I'm going to do this for you. I'll show you what it's all about. We got to help the younger people. So like I said, when I met Eric, I just thought he was joking. I was like, whatever.
Right.
Awesome, man, good guy. But I got to tell you, from that whole experience, the best experience I had during the whole Diamond Comics seminar was I got to spend about 2 hours with Frank Miller.
Oh, man. How cool is that?
At 16, I mean, it's the coolest thing in the world, but he was working on 300 at the time. It was about 8 months before it came out, or a year before it came out. And he was, I had been taking ancient Athenian Greek in high school. So we had that connection right there. So I was going through the line. I was talking about, he was asking me like, hey, what do you got? What's going on? I'm like, oh, well, the big thing I'm doing right now is ancient Athenian Greek. I study that. And he just went all into it. He's like, well, here's what I'm working on. I'm
300.
Yeah. And then he was like, hey, what are you doing later? I'm like, well, I mean, I'm going to the dinner. He's like, well, come find me. We'll sit and talk for a while. So I got to hang out with him for like 2 hours. I ate dinner. We talked about 300. I mean, that was, for me, that was like the biggest thing.
Yeah, huge. We get these gifts. It's good that you can think back on it and receive it and realize it is what it was, I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just, way up there. Again, everybody I met there, I mean, were really nice. You know, they were just really cool. I mean, Jim Valentino, he was nice. Everybody I met there was nice. I went to a baseball game with Julie Bell, which
Oh yeah, the painter. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
she's talented.
she was fantastic, you know, and I always like her better than Boris Vallejo anyway. I always thought like her stuff had a little more edge to it. Boris
Yeah,
Vallejo's was too polished for me, in my
yeah.
opinion.
Hers, the characters look like they were living and breathing. His always are
Exactly.
glossy and kind of
Yeah.
glossy.
Yeah. So I mean, she was super sweet, real nice lady, and but that was a real good time for me, and that was like the only experience I had at that point with artists. You know, growing up in a place where there's not really a lot of stuff.
Some
But
good artists to be chilling with, man. John Beatty and Frank Miller and meeting all those guys. That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it was a great time. Really, really good time. Well, I am not going to take any more of your time, man. I'd like to.
I told you we'd
leave
go
on a
long,
high
dude.
note.
I told
Hey,
you we'd
man,
go long.
well, let's leave on a high note, man. Let's tell people to go out there and get Black Flag. I mean, this is going to
Yeah,
be
if you
awesome.
haven't, also, you know, if you guys want to subscribe to my channel, it is Couch Doodle, CouchDoodles. Same thing on Instagram, same thing on Twitter, just Couch Doodles. You definitely check out Skits Project. Sign up for the pre-launch. If you can get out and sign up for the pre-launch for Zaid Comics Lost Pages, check out Battle Brick Road by Eric Weathers.
We
Check
had
out
Eric on yesterday, man.
Eric's good people, man.
He's
Eric's
awesome
good
guy.
people.
Yeah,
he's good people. Vinny T's Through the Woods, Adam Post, College of the Dead, of course, Ethan Van Sciver's Wreck Planet, Unforgettable Tales, Peregrine, Door Kickers, Jawbreakers 3, The Grand Bazaar. I mean, there's so many great books. Like, I want to say them all, but like, there's so many great books coming out. It's exciting.
Yep. Also for Justin Dutton out there, Unstitched, he's got his coming up. I think he says it's going to be June 18th. He's going to be dropping it.
Oh, the day before my birthday. Early birthday present. Thanks, dude.
That's
Get
looking
that campaign.
great, man. It's looking great. So I'm going to show people a little bit of skits here. Go over.
Do it. Let's do it.
Right. Go over to Indiegogo. Get on the mailing list. For day one, you're going to have discounts. You're going to have a discount. Also, you're going to have a very special combination, hand-wrapped, signed, numbered, special something for you that you could. I can't tell you everything because it's just going to be made, and I can't give it away. But if you get on the mailing list, you're the only person that's going to be able to get this. It's going to be limited to whoever orders it on the mailing list. It's just something special just for you. You're going to be able to get some artwork, hand done stuff. I mean, I don't even, I mean, just look at this stuff, guys. Let's go over here and just look at the artwork right quick. You already know the team. You got the team there. There's Skits, the Sun, book 1. I mean, it is going to be great, exciting. I wish I could tell you more about it. We got 2 other artists that are going to be working on this thing. They're doing their own covers. They're doing some, I can't say it. I can't say it. They got some other stuff going on, man. It's going to be awesome. But if you like art like this, I mean, if this is some concept stuff,
so
but this
cool.
is going to be in the book as well. We showed some of this stuff. I mean, look at this stuff, guys. I mean, look at the pencils here. You know, we got, I mean, here's a painted page from the cover right here, or from the book. I mean, look at this stuff. It is going to blow your mind. So get on over there on that Indiegogo. Also, please, please, please support my man, Dan Fraga. FRAGA BOOM in the house. Black Flag. It is everything, anything. We backed it day one. We were so excited for this. You need to get on over there and get some. Oh, we got people just showing up all over the place. Did I dock something? Someone's telling me I docked something. That's fine. You can't find my house anyway. It ain't on Google Maps. So anyway, we are going to show the video, the Skits video, and we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much, Dan Fraga, for coming to the Skits Fun House.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Boom. All right.
Let's see this video.